We've got Avery Priest with
Hello,
Compass
hello.
Realty,
Yes.
and appreciate you coming on. So Avery and I have known each other for, gosh, probably almost 2 years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And when we were talking out in the little lobby area, you had made mention that you got here being Austin,
Yeah.
right after the pandemic.
Yes.
So that would have been like 2021.
Yeah, like right in January. Yeah, right
Okay.
at the start. Yep.
And you came from where?
I came from Waco.
Waco.
Mhm.
Okay, so still a Texan.
Yeah. Yes.
Right on.
Born and raised.
Well,
Love
that's good.
Texas.
I got here just a little bit before you, but I was up in Ohio.
Yeah.
And so what made you decide to come to Austin?
Well, my husband goes to law school at UT.
Okay.
So that's what brought us here.
Right on.
And then I said, let's do some real estate here. I did it in Waco.
Okay.
So was in property management, but then moved into a sales agent here.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. Were you doing real estate up in Waco? So what's the difference between the two markets in your opinion? Here's your controversial clip we're getting.
Yeah. Obviously, it's interesting. Waco boomed from Chip and JoJo.
Move this a little bit further.
Oh, closer?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. And so, yeah, it also is growing a ton.
Mm-hmm. Chip and JoJo being Chip and Joanne from the Home Improvement Show.
Correct.
What's it called?
Magnolia.
Magnolia Farm or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny because it was booming a lot too. Not as much as Austin, still small infrastructure, but yeah. So that's, similar in that way. Big growth from both cities.
Do you miss it?
I do. I loved Waco actually. Yeah. It's kind of the armpit of Texas, but I like it.
The armpit of Texas.
That's what some people say.
I went up to Waco because, fun fact about Waco that maybe you don't even know, it's got a huge taxidermy like shop up there.
Oh.
And I really wanted like a giant longhorn bull skull with like the polished horns.
Why? That's awesome.
To hang over the fireplace
Yeah.
when I first moved down here, because I thought, isn't that what you do? You move to Texas and get a giant,
Exactly.
longhorn bull
You were
skull.
correct.
And it was kind of difficult to find here in Austin.
Oh, really?
And I started going down the rabbit hole, and there was this just huge, huge place. I mean, they had tons and tons of like choices, if you will.
Oh, wow.
And that was my first trip up to Waco, and they literally took me into a trailer, like a semi-trailer, that was just wall to wall with bull skulls and polished longhorns. So that was my first experience, and then of course, because I was with my girlfriend, we had to do the whole Chip and Joanne and all of that.
Thing.
So yeah, Waco's cool.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I don't get me wrong, it's like a good place to stop.
Yeah.
But I'm sure living there it's a little different.
Yeah.
So you moved down to Austin. Yep. Husband is doing law school here, and started with real estate in Austin. Though, how long have you been a real estate agent? Overall.
I guess 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in Austin, like almost 3.
Okay. Yeah. And so, one of the things we try to do on the show is just keep things relevant as far as, we are in mid-November. We're approaching 2024.
Yep.
Everybody's I know, right? Everybody's getting excited about 2024 because I feel like in real estate, everybody's already over 2023.
Yes. Yes, we are.
It's been a little slow.
Yeah.
We are seeing interest rates come down a little bit, which everybody seems to think is going to be a catalyst for the market. I personally think that next year is just going to be better only because the average consumer is becoming conditioned to, what rates are now. But as a real estate agent with boots on the ground, I mean, what are you hearing from your buyers as to, why they are maybe holding off, or, hey, maybe you even have buyers that are like aggressively trying to buy right now. We had a real estate agent on that was like, yeah, I've got like 2 investors that want to get these homes in before the end of the year. So what seems to be the relevant thing with the clients you're dealing with right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, number 1, it's interest rates. But 2, such a large problem in Austin now is affordability.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. And for me being a young agent, I'm only 26 and, naturally I'm helping or trying to help most of my peers. Yeah. And in Austin, you can't buy a house at 26. You can't buy a house for so long until you've, gotten your income up. So that is a huge problem among my peers.
Mm-hmm.
And I find most of my clients are, they're all in their, mid to upper 30s if I can, connect with them or cold leads from that. But as far as my sphere, that's the main thing we're dealing with as the, price of homes have gone up so much.
Are you finding yourself going outside of Austin with your clients to look at properties, or is that just something that, people in their mid-20s, they're just refusing to?
Yeah, honestly, they're kind of refusing. They want to
Uh-huh.
be central, and they want that city feel.
Yeah.
They want to be in the middle of it. So most people are just renting apartments as close as they can be to downtown because they're like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to be out in the suburbs.
Because that's what fun fact that I have been hearing a lot lately, and I don't know why, but do you know how old your average homeowner is right now? Like
In
first time, excuse
Austin
me. No,
or
just
in
across the
general?
board. Like,
Oh
how
wow.
old are you when you buy your first home?
Oh gosh, I wouldn't know. I would guess it's the 30s, like young 30s.
36.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
36.
Yeah.
And traditionally, that has been, this is what shocked me. I thought, oh, well, maybe it's because people are living longer type of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
that actually seems to be like a going kind of medium that
Yeah.
we've seen for over a decade. And so it's interesting to me because I think about, you know, I'm a little older than you, so I think about
Yeah.
being in my mid-20s when people were purchasing homes and everything along those lines and what we were doing.
Yeah.
And, coming from a different area, but at the same time, um, I think it's similar here where I saw a lot of people that if they wanted to stay in the city, they really had to purchase something that was in an area that was considered to be not very sought after.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
like home improvements needed to be made,
Yeah.
similar to maybe like the east side, even though the east side now is, really taken off, like East
Yeah.
Central and everything along those lines. But that does seem to be the thing I hear about people in their 20s. They're like, it's affordability. I'm not moving out to the suburbs. And so the things that I've seen that have combat that is either A, people that are like, we're going to move out to the suburbs type of thing, get into the real estate game with the
Mm-hmm.
intention of becoming a move up buyer.
Yeah.
Or I am seeing a lot of people that, I think it's very tough to purchase a home as a single individual.
Yeah.
Like almost impossible if you're in your 20s. But if you have a partner, whether that is a partner, somebody that you're romantically involved with, or even just like I've
Yeah.
done loans for like friends,
Yeah.
like 2, sometimes even 3 people that all buy a home together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, have you seen anything along those lines? Or is it just people are like, I'm just going to rent because I need to live in the city? And what's the plan?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have seen, I've helped a couple single people. One was helped by her parent.
Mm-hmm.
One was helped by her sister.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you need help from somewhere if you're
Sure.
gonna buy in your 20s.
Well, especially if you're going to buy like in Austin proper.
Right. Yeah.
And you kind of just like forced me to kind of go like, I never even thought about it, but public service announcement to like anyone who's in their 20s that refuses to buy a home because they want to buy in the city and there isn't affordability. Like, what's your plan?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I hear you. Like, are you just going to rent forever in the city until you get older and then overpay for a home in the suburbs when you eventually decide that you want to buy?
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, if they're either waiting till they have a family to move out to the suburbs, like they're like, I just, that's not.
Yeah.
We're still so young.
Right.
One, I probably can't afford it till that time either.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, there'll be more people that I'm surrounded with that are in my same stage of life, or they're just like, I'm going to save up till I can be where I want. I don't know. I mean, that is the hard part. I feel like so many of my friends I talk to, that's the biggest conversation. And, what they always talk to me about, because they're like, hey, well, we want to buy a home, but like, we want to, our kids go to Westlake. I can't be in Westlake, and it's a huge conversation.
Well, I love that we're talking about this because we've talked about so many topics on this, and this is one that it's it's literally happening like organically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what is your plan? And then what I've seen, just because again, like being in this business longer and being a little older, what I've seen is like Westlake wasn't always Westlake.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's kind of your if you can't afford to get into it now, I promise, unless there's some crazy windfall with your job, or like my favorite as a lender is non-commission based employees that somehow are trying to convince me that one day they're going to make more money.
Right.
Right? It's like
Right.
you have a salaried position,
Yeah.
right? And like unless you're going to like open a business, or unless you have, we're commission based, so like you could just have like a crazy year, sell a couple,
Yeah.
you know, expensive properties and just crush it, and your income really is variable,
Yeah.
positively or negatively. So it's like, okay, well, we want our kids to go to Westlake, we want this, we want that. It's like, why not get started now in creating a school system and a community that, when you are having kids, is the new Westlake,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we saw that up, I lived in a community called Lakewood that was right outside of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where like people, when they were in their 20s, were moving, because 5-7 years earlier, it was pretty run down,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you had people moving there. There were big houses. They were older, but they required a lot of work. And it's one of the nicest school systems now where I came from, because over a 10-year period, they raised taxes. They built all new schools, elementary, middle school, high school. So why not have, like, again, I'm not like, so why not have those conversations with these younger people?
Yeah.
And basically they're like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but we can't do that. So what's the plan?
Right. Yeah.
Like, what is that plan? And it's like, well, I'm just gonna do what? Wait for property values to come down?
Right.
Because we know that's not going to happen. There's
Yeah.
no statistic that points to that happening, even in the
No.
next decade.
I know. And that's the news I have to break to them.
Right. But then it's like, okay, so Avery, that's not a thing. Maybe I'll make more money.
Yeah.
But even if they make more money, we know that if property values continue to rise, then the cost of that home is just going to continue to rise, even if your income does.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'll save more money.
Yes.
And but we know the difference in down payment.
Yeah.
Where one thing that's always saddening to most young people is they treat a home purchase very similar to their car. And what I mean by that is like, they're like, well, Matt, I plan on putting like $10,000 down, but what if I put 12,000 down? How much is that going to change my payment?
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that when you amortize something over 30 years, every $10,000 that you put down, on average, is going to make about a $50 difference in your monthly payment. So if you're like, how do I get my payment to like $500 less than this? It's like, I mean, you're going to need an additional, $50K.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
So as you're saving, and here's what you need to be telling everybody now that I think about it.
Yeah.
You were there in 2020 and 2021 when things were going kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And you had people that were paying all cash, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you had people that were able to bid way over asking.
Yeah.
Now, I know you probably don't know the exact number, but out of all of those people that were paying cash or able to pay over asking, were they previously homeowners or were they first-time home buyers?
For my clients, it was actually a pretty strong mixture.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would really say it was like pretty 50-50.
No kidding.
Yeah.
The reason I think this is because I would talk to people that were first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
And even if they had the money, they were like really grossed out about the idea of having to, pay tens of thousands of dollars over what the house was being, listed at. And what I identified is the people who didn't have this like unearned income, which AKA is like equity from a home that they sold before, had a really tough time giving up that money versus someone who's like, I just made $100,000 on my house and I owned it for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So knowing that, and that wasn't even that long ago, I still don't understand how anyone can't look at home ownership and say, okay, like, I can't afford to where I want to be right now, but if my goal is to really be there, what's the fastest way to get there, right?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so I have to purchase now, get in the game, accumulate some equity, and then find myself in a position to purchase in the neighborhood that I want to, or maybe, and this is the one I didn't even think about, maybe you purchase in the community and like encourage other people to move
Yeah.
in. Makes me shudder to think about this, but like get involved in politics, get
Yeah.
involved in the school
Yeah.
systems, pump up the area.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, as a real estate agent, aren't schools like the number one thing that kind of push people to buy in certain areas?
100%. Yeah. And that's what, when you say what's their plan, like that's so many people's vision of, yeah, where am I going to buy and where do I want to be? Obviously, it's
Mm-hmm.
why they want to be in Westlake because Eanes is, one of the best school districts in Texas. But, you know, I think, yeah, schools have a ton to do with it. And I had a thought, I'm forgetting it, based on where people are buying. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, schools, we talked about being, lifestyle in terms of downtown and
Yeah.
things of that nature, and then it'll come back to
It'll
you.
come back. It was a good thought, though. It'll come
Good.
back. Yeah.
Well, you interrupt me when it comes back to you because,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, so the reason that I'm kind of harping on all of this is twofold. Number one, because of your age.
Yep.
You mentioned because of your sphere. These are the clients that you're mainly in front of.
Yeah.
And for me as a lender, it's very difficult for me to debate, or excuse me, it's very difficult for me to not win a debate on why now is not a good time to buy if you don't own a home.
Yeah. I do remember it now.
Go for it.
So what I was going to say is the problem is everyone kind of, like you said, they've been through a roller coaster. So they
Mhm.
saw, people that bought before 2020, their homes, raised by almost 50%.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, yeah, see, that was a good time to buy. Now I feel like people are scared that if they buy, I feel like the truth that they are building equity, it's like not sinking in with
Right.
them. They think it's either going to drop or, I think that roller coaster is affecting their train of thought and how they're going to buy and what they're going to do.
That's interesting. You know what's interesting about the comment that you made regarding someone buying in like 2020 or 2021?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was just me, but I go to all of my closings when at least if I'm in town, I go to them.
Yeah.
And during 2020 and 2021, there were probably, I'll just say 90% of the closings I went to.
Yeah.
Those buyers were definitely not walking out of there thinking, I made a good decision. Now was the best time to buy. They bought over asking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, interest rates were low, but a lot of them bought with no inspections. They bought with appraisal gap waivers. Some of them had to go in all cash.
Yeah.
And it was very unusual that I would go to a closing during 2021 and 2020 that someone was like, they were happy. They were closed. They got their new home. They're excited about painting walls and stuff like that. But they weren't like, boy, this was a great financial decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so to hear you say like, yeah, there's a roller coaster where now people who didn't buy look back and go, well, shit, that was a good time to buy.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, you could say that now.
Yeah.
Right. And so.
Or even before.
Sure.
Like I think people too even saying like, well, I should have just bought in 18 or 19, like right before it, increased so much.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that's in their brain that's how much like a home should increase by. You could get that amount of equity. And now I have to hold it for so long if I'm going to build the equity that all my friends are telling me that they just made on their home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how much it affects, but I feel like it's a little bit of people being like, well, I don't know. Homes are, now down 5-10%. Like if I buy now, and it's like, no, looking at what real estate is in the long term. Like it's just been a weird past couple years. And I think it's maybe affecting people's decision making.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when you put it that way, when somebody thinks that appreciation should be like double digits and now they're seeing like appreciation at 5%.
Yeah.
I can see how that is like, oh, well, things are down. It's like appreciation is not down.
Right.
And the one statistic that was like really, I don't know, sometimes I like to laugh because, everybody knows more than me and, they just ask them. The statistic that I just recently saw was that we look at home prices in terms of decreases in value. Now, again, this was nationwide, and I personally think that Austin's a little insulated from this, but as soon as we see a dip in home prices and then they go back up, we have never seen home prices dip and then not take close to a decade to go back down again.
Yeah.
And so we saw property values actually decrease. It was by a small amount too. It was like 0.12%
Mm-hmm.
in January of 2023.
I think,
I gotta think
yeah,
about
I
it. Yeah,
think that's right. Yeah.
January 2023. So those of you that are, you know, equipped with crystal balls,
Yeah.
I'm here
Right.
to tell you that if you purchased in January of 2023, you basically got your house for the least amount of money that you would be basically paying for it
Mm-hmm.
for the next 10 years. Congratulations. Go tell your friends, go tell
Mm-hmm.
your families that you knew it.
Yeah.
You knew it.
Right.
And those of you that are waiting, I'm here to tell you right now that property values, again, very marginally. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like I don't think we're going to see a 2020 or 2021 where you're going to
Mm-hmm.
go, oh shit, things are skyrocketing. Could.
Yeah.
Um, but what we are not going to see are property values going down again. And then that's the next part is like, just because someone listed a house and you're seeing a price cut,
Yeah.
that's not a sale,
Right.
right?
Right.
I think that's another big thing that the younger community
Definitely.
gets confused about, where they're like, oh, we're seeing values going down. You're seeing values going down. You're seeing asking prices going down.
Right.
Two
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah. Because both sides are still delusioned a little bit.
Yeah. I have a proposition for you.
Yeah.
Because this is something that I've been thinking about and I've done a horrible job executing it. But with your husband being at UT,
Mm-hmm.
the one statistic that has been like looming in the back of my brain is right now we are seeing less, the majority of people that are graduating college right now are women.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of home buyers right now are actually women
Yeah.
over men.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And one of the things that I've been thinking about is if we had some sort of connection with somebody who was at UT,
Mm-hmm.
what about like getting in front of these male and female, but what about these female buyers and these younger people that maybe have misconceptions about whether or
Mm-hmm.
not, it's good to buy and all these other things? Like, my proposition is we need to figure out a way to get in front of these buyers because you've
Yeah.
got a UT connection and maybe
Yeah.
doing some public speaking on explaining how, maybe some of the things that they have or questions about they're just afraid to ask
Yeah.
because they're way smarter than us. They go to UT.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
they're UT law.
Right?
That's like,
I
yeah.
mean, and they're going to come out and have decent income. So,
Yeah. Well,
like,
yeah, and even in law school, it's like 55% women at UT Law,
yeah. See there?
women lawyers.
And then they say like 65% of women who are doing real estate, it's like 65% of women are buying homes.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that the statistic is because women see more or they get more excitement from investing in real estate than men.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, men prefer like stocks and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff because a house to them is like, there's that meme that I've seen. It's like a mattress with like a handgun next to it and a fan.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is how every man would live if it wasn't for like getting into a relationship.
Facts. Yeah. Truly. That's so funny.
And then, of course, they would probably like own a bunch of crypto.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
Yeah, we need to brainstorm
Yeah,
on
that's
how we can
actually a
get
great
in front
idea.
of UT people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get them early, get them young.
Exactly. Do an info sesh.
So what other like obstacles are you running into though with like, again, I'm really going to just keep harping on you as far as like the younger community because
Yeah.
what are other, the other obstacles that you're up against? I mean, people want to live in the city.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to make these concessions. Like, we talked about like, what's their plan? It sounds like they don't really have one.
Yeah.
Like how do we overcome that?
I don't know. The hard part is too, the other obstacle that comes to mind is that a lot of them my age, they don't know if they want to stay in Austin forever.
Okay.
It is kind of a landing ground in your 20s. You kind of do the job and then you maybe want to go back home. So you're like, why would I buy here?
That's interesting.
So I know that's also a lot of my friends. That
Home
like,
being like somewhere nowhere near here.
Yeah. There's another
Right.
city. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Being like, well, I know I'm only going to be here 5-10 years. So I'm just going to rent until I move.
That's really interesting because
Yeah.
I feel like 5-10 years, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
moved here coming up on 5 years. And I mean, we knew we were going to stick around, but there was a possibility that things wouldn't work out work wise. Cause I didn't come here because I wanted to like live in Austin. I came here for work, and we bought in the first 7 months of living here because I knew I'd be here for at least 2 or 3.
Yeah. Right.
So to hear like, I might not be here for 5 or 10 years. Do you think a lot of it is just, obviously there's fear?
Yeah.
Right. And that's like lack of education. But do you think a lot of it is maybe, and I only say this because I remember my younger self, do you think a lot of it is maybe just people that probably can't afford, like if we
100%.
really worked out the numbers, it's like you're not buying anything.
Right. Well, and that's why I say that that's the number one obstacle. Like obviously interest rates is one that people use most commonly, but I genuinely think the number one problem in Austin is affordability.
Yeah, but we talk about affordability in homes, but is rent that affordable in Austin?
No, but you don't have to come up with that extra down payment, which also, right, you can get around, you can try to do it FHA or
I mean, we can do down payment assistance and everything along those lines. And is it maybe like the guy who lives with like 2 other dudes who acts like he's going to buy a home, but in reality he can't unless he like brings on these 2 other dudes because he couldn't even afford to live where he rents?
Right. Yeah.
Bros.
Yeah. Classic.
I remember being a bro. The good old days.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I think that might be a huge part of it, but it also definitely, it's like what you said, either they're uneducated, they don't know how far their money could go.
Yeah.
And on a home, or they do know and they just don't want to buy what it could get them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to buy a lot of things that I can't afford.
Sure.
Valid. There are a lot of things out there I would love to buy.
Yeah.
So that's just a life lesson. I don't even know what to say about that. But so outside of like younger generation, I always ask everybody on the show, I know you would work with anyone that's interested in buying a property, but is there like a client type that you seem to enjoy working with more than others? And outside, like cash buyers, like is there like a I'll give you an example of what we've heard. I had somebody who really enjoys working with single mothers. I have had people that enjoy working with first-time home buyers. Is it men? Is it women? Like, what is that for you?
I think my first answer would be I love working with families to find a home that fits for their family. My husband and I have a little 18-month-old, and so obviously it's fun to work with someone that you relate to, that you can talk about common ground and just find spaces that work for them.
Yeah.
And that is best and represent their family values too.
Would you say that you as a real estate agent, because that answer to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, kind of comes across as like you kind of enjoy the problem solving?
Yes, very much.
Right. I find that agents are kind of split down the middle with that. There's either agents that really enjoy the problem solving aspect of things that are willing to deal with that buyer that is very specific in what they want.
Yeah.
And then I actually just had another agent on recently, Tristan Reinman. He was like, I really like it when clients know exactly what they want. And then like, I can basically say like, here's this, here's that. There's not a lot of problem solving because, they're very direct in what they're looking for, and they want to move quickly. And
well, I like that because, because one, you can lead them to exactly what they want, and it's easier, that they're going to be happy with what they get. The problem is, and it is, I would say, majority of my clients, I don't know if other people would say this, they look to you to tell them everything.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying, that it sounds like maybe you're better at solving that problem versus someone else. It's like, I use the Taco Bell effect. You ask your wife, what do you want for dinner? And she's like, whatever. And you're like, Taco Bell. She's like, not Taco Bell.
Yeah, right. So I find people that know what they want, I find that easier. But when they don't, it is more fun. But it's definitely more difficult. And you do get slightly nervous of like, okay, I want to make sure that you do like it. Because a lot of times they don't even, they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
So they want you to tell them what they want. And I'm a pretty opinionated person. So.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, if you have to be, if someone's flat out asking.
Yeah, exactly. So, that part, the negotiation side of real estate is by far my favorite. I have no problem with confrontation. I love problem solving. So
Well, you're married to an attorney, or
that's
soon to
facts.
be
Yeah,
attorney.
exactly. Exactly. I got to be, good
Yeah,
at
you
arguing.
got to
Yeah,
stand your ground.
I do. Truly. Yeah. So,
I like
yeah.
that. The other thing I wanted to, before I forgot, was about the younger generation. We talked a little bit about getting outside of the city, for example. I want to be in Westlake, but we talked about the idea of almost creating a good school system over the years, like
Yeah.
while your children are young.
Yeah.
Do you find that people in your sphere of influence or younger people are reluctant to purchase a house with what a real estate agent would call like good bones, but requires, you know, work to be done? And
Mm-hmm.
if so, like, I guess what I'm getting at is I can remember in my 20s, even like what I did personally versus what I was seeing the majority of people that were buying homes was there were a lot of people that were like, I want to buy a home and basically rehab it, live in it for a little while, sell it,
Yeah.
make money.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of that anymore. And I feel old saying this, but I'm wondering if it's like a generation thing where like maybe kids nowadays are growing up less in the trades,
Yeah.
less in like, knowing how to do this. Are you seeing that in your sphere of influence, or are you like, no, I mean, I'm from Waco. My friends know how to do all those
Yeah.
things.
No, that's a good question. Well, it's funny because my husband and I, actually, when we first got married, we bought a home in Waco and
Okay.
we redid almost all of it ourselves. The things that we
That's
couldn't
awesome.
do, the plumbing, all that we didn't, but almost everything else we did. And we sold it in 2021 and made a great amount on it. And I think it really depends on the person, but yeah, maybe it is kind of a thing our generation because I see it much less,
Mhm.
and I think people are definitely more afraid to get their hands dirty and to work on it. The showing I just went on yesterday, it's going to be a complete gut job, and we brought a general contractor with us. And I was actually surprised to see that they were open to doing that because
So maybe
you're
it's
right.
turning.
Well,
because that's the affordability part,
I know.
right?
Yeah, it is. But I think even with that, when people ask how the market is, what I am finding is that homes that are totally remodeled, you don't have to do anything to, are the main ones that are moving, that people want to buy, that,
Turnkey.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, this was actually the first kind of client that I've had in a while that has wanted to renovate.
Well, and maybe that's the word, like the public service announcement we need to get out to this like younger community, like, because before I say this, I'll ask you, like,
Yeah.
looking back on this property in Waco, you guys did a lot of work, sweat
Yeah.
equity. Like,
Yeah.
did you look back on it and say we should have brought in contractors, or did you look back on it and you were like, God, that house was well, you said you did well on it, so you were
Yeah.
happy about it.
Yeah.
Like, do you look back on doing those improvements by yourself and feel like you wasted time or money?
No, not at all. Like, I loved it. We would totally want to do it again here. I think it's just finding the right place
Right.
and, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of one of the things I've been thinking about too. Again, being in the business with the longevity I have, it is all cyclical. And I really want to see more younger people that are complaining about affordability, that are what you said, some of them think in the next 5 or 10 years that their increase in income is going to solve that problem. I'm
Yeah.
here to tell you it won't. That
Yeah.
goalpost is always moving,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to get political
Yeah.
on it, but
Yeah.
it's like now is the age where even if you only think you're going to be here for 3 to 5 years,
Yeah.
buy a house,
Mm-hmm.
do some work to it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a lot of people don't even at that age have kids running around.
Right.
So it's like, if the water's turned off for a day or two, you'll figure it out. Go
Yeah.
shower at Planet Fitness. Like,
Yeah.
and there's money in that.
Yeah.
And there's affordability in that.
Mhm.
And then you can make a decision and say, okay, like, do we want to stay here?
Yeah.
Turns out this community has really come
Mhm.
up.
Yeah.
Or you can turn around and sell it and then go try to buy your Westlake home when you
Right.
probably won't even want it anymore.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's,
Right. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm curious about is I feel like people are just being a bit stubborn on moving further out of Austin, and I think they're choosing their lifestyle and, where they are and being closer to their friends and the things that they want to be at, which, I mean, I guess that's what you're choosing, but I think that they could be making money building equity and they're just choosing not to.
All right, I got it. we're going to figure out a way to do a seminar at UT
Yeah.
in front of what will probably be a room heavily filled by women
And lawyers.
and attorneys,
'Cause
which is why,
that's who
which
I
is
know.
also, I need you because not only are you going to talk about the real estate side of
Yeah.
things, but like, I just find that the majority of women are not super excited about talking to a bald white guy,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I used to do these seminars like, God, probably 10 years ago, and I really need to get back to them where we get you, me, a title company,
Yep.
and a contractor.
Got it.
And the reason that we need the contractor is because I loved it. I used to say, Avery's going to help you find the home.
Yep.
I'm going to help you finance the home.
Yep.
The title company is going to help you fund the home.
Right.
And the contractor is going to help you fix the home.
There we go. We love it.
4 F's, right?
That's awesome.
I haven't done that in a long time. We need to put one of those
We
together.
actually do. I love this idea.
Well, and then what the title company used to do was like put together a list. I don't know how you guys do it, but you get together and put together a list of properties that were like lower priced with like issues, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I mean, get these younger people in, get them excited.
Yeah.
And then everybody who's in the room that wants to learn how to find a home, finance it, fund it, and fix it, and then potentially flip it.
Yeah.
Right? We can get them in front of you and get them shopping around.
I like it.
I do too.
Yeah. Let's do it this spring.
Yeah. I mean, let's start. Yeah, I mean, right after the holidays,
Yeah,
right?
Let's do it.
You know, I don't know why I got away from that. Well, the only other thing I wanted to ask, and then we'll wrap it up because time always flies. Can you believe if we've been on for 50 minutes?
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know, right? It's fun.
Yeah.
Because I try to keep this not just about real estate and keep it kind of entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen we've had CPAs on here talking about 1051 exchanges. We've had contractors. Long story short, everyone on here is ultimately a self-employed business owner, including yourself.
Yep.
So is there anything that you are doing right now or in the last 90 days, or heck, yeah, in the last 90 days that has kind of been like, here's what I'm doing and it's been working, you know, nothing like silver bullet type of thing, but is there anything you've been doing to generate new business that seems to be something you weren't doing that is working?
That's a good question. I've been trying to tap into more like niche areas of my sphere. Like I just had a watch party for I went to University of Arkansas. So everyone that I know, let's go Hogs. Everyone that I know from Arkansas wanted to get them together. So I've been trying to do just a lot more gatherings. Obviously work, it's trickling in. It's slower for everyone right now. So I think I've been really trying to get in front of people, you know, and also, you know, gathering people as well, not just myself, but making connections. You know, I mean, I think that is just a problem in a big city anyways. So just trying to make it smaller.
Yeah. Well, and I've been hearing similar kind of responses and even what we're talking about potentially doing with this, you know, kind of seminar. It's like, we can debate it was COVID, but at the end of the day, I think it was just us in the real estate community. We're so busy that we've really gotten away from like getting face to face with people. It's part of the reason I want to do these podcasts with agents because, you know, the phone, even the Zoom, it just doesn't cut it. And when you really get together with somebody and, you know, have conversations not only about real estate, but then once people start to open up, a lot of those, at least from my experience, a lot of those like really good questions that maybe a buyer is afraid to ask, they just start asking. And I feel like, well, why didn't you ask me that like weeks ago?
Sure. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's like, and so, yeah, I like that, you know, the watch parties, the things like that. We just had like a big barbecue last week. And I apologize. I should have invited you. I didn't even think about it. We had like 25 people.
Yeah.
And I even said to my girlfriend, I was like, these are the events that I feel like really where I make these connections with people that seep into work. So I like that answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to cover? Anything else we need to know about you, your business? Anything you want to ask the general public?
Oh, wow. Good question. Yeah, we covered a lot of it, which is fun. We covered a lot of like, I feel like what is I'm passionate about as a young person here, and feel like I'm just on this crusade to educate the younger people in Austin.
Well, it's not just the younger people; it's the younger people and the first-time home buyers.
Sure.
Because at that average age of 36, I mean, those
Right.
I think 36 is still young, but you know what I mean.
No, it is, and I include them in that. Like, I'm
Right.
not just saying 20s, but yeah, just the people, right, that have not purchased before, that are figuring out the city of Austin, and I think that's kind of my biggest hurdle at this point that I'm trying to work around. So.
Well, the beauty of this too, and what we're doing is like these topics are ever changing.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt in my mind, in like 30 to 60 days from now, I mean, you need to rebook. We need to get you back on because, first of all, I have tons of people that leave here and they're like, "Oh my God, there were so many things that I wanted to talk about." So write them down.
Right.
And then the second thing is that something's going to change in our industry. There always is something changing.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a lot of agents that have come on and talked about the lawsuits with NAR and everything like that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, we've really beat that one to death.
I was gonna say, I was gonna mention it, but I'm like, I'm sure it's been talked about so much.
Yes, there's been a lot of controversy behind it on both sides too, which is very, very interesting because I've actually had a few people that have kind of said, you know, right before you came here, I was on Real Producer, and there was an agent that was up in Ohio that his Real Producer cover is him sitting in his SL 500 Mercedes, and you know, we're all supposed to glorify that, and there's a part of me and the rest of the community that was like, you goddamn realtors just couldn't make your money and keep quiet. Right? Like, everyone's a multi-million-dollar producer. Everybody has to live in, you know, a home with a pool, and they all need you to know about it. And so, that's been a topic that has been touched on quite a bit. But if there is nothing else you want to cover, everyone who comes on here for the very first time, now that you're all warmed up and you got it, I just ask that you look in the camera, tell us who you are, who you're with, and anything you need your potential clients to know. Don't look at me, look at the camera.
Okay. So I'm Avery Priest with Compass, and I need you to know that Austin is a great place to buy a home as soon as you can afford it.
I love that. I love that. And call me to figure out whether or not you can afford it.
That's right. Call Avery Priest. Pick up the phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for being on here. We're going to do this again.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
All right.
Love
Bye-bye.
it.